Item number 6, to consider the certification of the Youngstown City Charter Ordinance 15-283, Section 122, also known as the Community Bill of Rights, to the November 2015 general election ballot. Well, there's certainly been some controversy about this issue. I note that it's been on the ballot 4 times before, and this board has consistently held that that we really didn't have much I think there was a certain suspicion that possibly that this charter amendment might be unenforceable, it might be illegal, it might be unconstitutional, but given the state of the law over this past 4 election cycles, we really felt we didn't have any latitude, and we did certify that issue to the ballot 4 times. Since then, there have been some changes with a couple of court cases, and I'd like a chance to discuss that today. Mr. Beatrice, you want to lead off first?
I do. First of all, let me clearly say this. I do not agree that the state of Ohio has taken local control away from the people in the city of Youngstown or any community. I do not agree with it. However, I am a lawyer, and I took an oath to uphold the Constitution. And under the way we do business in this country, a Supreme Court is the final sayer of what the law is. Recently, the United States Supreme Court legalized gay marriage, and there was a lot of people that didn't agree with that. But whether you agree with it or don't agree with it, it is the law of the land, and we all have to accept it. That's what living in a concept of ordered liberty provides, that we will accept a final judgment by the highest court as to what the law is. I am compelled by 3 things in this case. One, and I want to pass this out to my fellow board members. And I have 1 extra one. The first is a decision that we got from Secretary John Houston, who is in all senses my boss. Our bosses as we sit as board members here. And I am compelled by 1 paragraph in this decision he rendered, where he says, and it's on page 3, it says, I maintain instead that the unrestricted language of the sole statute governing this protest plainly and unambiguously authorizes me to examine every aspect of these petitions in more than just a ministerial fashion. I think what he's saying there is that the language for the county charter amendments is plainly and unambiguously authorizes me to act more than just a ministerial fashion. I would then cite my fellow board members to a case that I do not agree with. State Ex Rel Morrison versus Beck Energy Corporation. I read a lot of decisions as a lawyer, but I would like to put into the record the conclusion of the court. And the court says, and I'm quoting directly from the decision, Article 2, Section 36, that's of the Ohio Constitution, vests the General Assembly with the power to pass laws providing for, quote, regulations of methods of mining, weighing, measuring, and marketing coal, oil, gas, and all other minerals, end quote. With the comprehensive regulations scheme in Revised Code Chapter 1509, the General Assembly has done exactly that. We hold that the Home Rule Amendment to the Ohio Constitution, Article 18, Section 3, does not allow a municipality to discriminate against, unfairly impede, or obstruct oil and gas activities and operations that the state is permitted under Chapter 1509. This is dated December 17, 2015. So the Ohio Supreme Court is unambiguously saying, February, is unambiguously saying, municipalities, you are not allowed to regulate the operation of any mineral rights within your localities, we are preempting you from doing so. I would then cite to you two cases out of the Cuyahoga County Common Pleas Court, basically the same case. But the city of Broadview Heights has passed a community bill of rights, and the courts have struck it down on the exact sort of language that they had there. I understand the frustration of the people that are bringing the issue of the community bill of rights, but your remedy is not to challenge the Ohio Supreme Court with a law that, to me, is clearly unconstitutional exercise of the thing. So, I have gotten an opinion from our prosecuting attorney who says that we must act only in a ministerial duty and we must follow it. And I have talked to Mr. Gaines and to Sharon Hackett, and I am not going to follow their recommendation because, as I read their decision for a number of reasons, the case they're relying on is a 2014 case decided prior to the 2015 case, plus the Supreme Court was talking to city councils, not Board of Elections, plus in that decision, the court said, nor can the city council assess the constitutionality of a proposal because that role is reserved for the courts. I agree. That role is reserved for the courts. The courts have clearly said the state legislature has acted. They have preempted local control, local say-so. I cannot believe that when I took my oath of office to be a member of this Mahoning County Board of Elections, when I raised my hand and put my left hand on the Bible and I said, I will follow the laws and the Constitution of the laws of the state of Ohio and the Constitution of the state of Ohio, that they wanted me to then say, well, Mr. Beatrice, you know something's clearly unconstitutional, so let the people of the city of Youngstown vote on it. I don't think that's my job. I don't think that's the law, and I make it akin to this. If someone in the city of Youngstown, because this is oil and gas, everyone wants to kind of blow it off, but the principle is the same. If someone brought us a petition that said African Americans cannot sit at lunch counters in the city of Youngstown, there isn't one board member in this city, on this board, that would allow that to go to be voted on. Not one board member.
But at one time it was the law.
Right, but one time it was.
Bad laws.
Therefore,
Please,
therefore,
Mr. Beatrice has the floor, please.
therefore, based upon my reading of the law, based upon my understanding of the law, I will not allow the people of the city of Youngstown to vote on a measure that is clearly and unambiguous unconstitutional. And therefore, I'm just saying, if we put it up for a vote, I'm going to vote no. As much as it pains me to do so, and as much as I don't want to do so, I feel my duty as a member of the bar and as my oath of this office that I cannot allow people to vote on something that is clearly unconstitutional. There's what I had to say.
Thank you, Mr. Beatrice. Now, this may come as no shock to anybody, but I do not agree completely with Mr. Beatrice. I take exception to his characterization of page 3 of Secretary Houston's decision. I think there he was speaking specifically to the issue involving a referendum involving a county charter, not an amendment to a municipal charter. However, I do think that when these petitions came to City Council, I don't think they had any discretion. They had to certify those to the Board of Elections for our consideration. But I think we've got more flexibility than City Council does. Because under Title 35, we have an additional duty to review the sufficiency and validity of petitions and nominating papers. And in light of the Beck Energy case, it is clear to me that the petitions that were circulated, while they had sufficient signatures, that the issue was that amendment was a proposal to regulate an activity that is clearly preempted by state law. It's unenforceable, and it conflicts with the Ohio Constitution. And thus, the petitions that were circulated and the resulting charter amendment that resulted from that are not sufficient and are invalid. I note that in the previous 4 elections, this board always had doubts about the legality of this issue. We are not a court, and we could not have made that determination. But now the courts have ruled. The Constitution does not allow municipalities to discriminate against, impede, or obstruct oil and gas activities that are permitted under Revised Code 1504. We should not certify a ballot issue the Supreme Court has clearly said is not allowed. This board does not abuse its discretion when it refuses to certify an issue that is unenforceable, illegal, and unconstitutional. That's my take. Ms. Winbush, Mr. Wasco, is there a motion?
Do we have to, Mr. Chairman, do we have to put it up to vote it down, or do we just not pass it?
We could do it either way. We could have a vote to not certify it to the ballot. That would be appropriate.
I would make a motion that we not certify the Community Bill of Rights to the ballot because it's an unconstitutional law.
Second.
There's a motion, there's a second. Any additional discussion?
I would like to just say, it's difficult. I kid you not, it's a difficult decision for a lot of us here. But it is true. It's unenforceable because state law supersedes local law. So to pass a law at the local level that is just, it's there just in paper. And it's kind of just putting it in there, and then when you go to do it and enforce it in the city charter, it's going to be null and void because you can't enforce it. And so there's a problem there. And with that said, you know, we've got to do that which we know, because the state is going to just come back in and say you can't get that done. And so we need to do it right.
I would just add that had this Beck Energy case not ruled the way it did,
Yeah.
and had it been not so unambiguous, I mean, the Supreme Court of Ohio says clearly the Home Rule Amendment to the Ohio Constitution does not allow a municipality. I don't know how any clearer that can be. I don't agree with it, but it's the law, and I have to follow it.
Are we allowed to speak? No.
Not to all.
Where does it say that we want to regulate oil and gas? Where does it say that in that petition?
There's a motion and a
Fair
second.
question.
There's a motion and there'll be opportunity for public comment.
Before and after the
There's
vote.
a motion and a
After you
second.
vote, right?
Director, please call the roll.
Mr. Monroe,
Yes.
Ms. Winbush.
Yes.
Mr. Wasco.
Yes.
Mr. Beatrice.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Oh, man.
Democracy in action.
Yeah,
Is there any
democracy.
unfinished business to consider?
Do any of them live in the city?
Well, before you and in your packet, I have a new layout for our app and our, yes, it's very nice, for our app and for our new, we're going to have a new webpage. They create the webpage and then the app off the webpage. So if you want to take a look at it, we're tweaking as we go along. We're doing different things. We're working with the company. But I just wanted to give you an idea of what it's going to look like when we actually get it all finished. You also have in your packet a list of the candidates, all the candidates, nonpartisan and for every election, and the write-ins in front of you. So you might want to look at that. And that's about it for me.
Is there any new business to consider? Any board communications?
None received by the Secretary, Mr. Chairman.
Any public comment this evening? Please step forward and state your name, please.
Okay, where do I have to speak from?
Right here. And if you could hold your comments, please, to maybe 3 minutes or so.
I can't hold it in 3 minutes. Okay, what you have done is misinterpreted the law pretty egregiously.
State your name.
This is Lynn Anderson. I live on Glacier View, Youngstown, Ohio.
In the city?
In the city of Youngstown, unlike a lot of people here. And you have a conflict of interest. You are all on the Mahoning Valley Job Growth and Investment Coalition, and then you changed your name because there are no jobs, so you changed it to the voter, whatever, ballot integrity, or whatever you did. What this community Bill of Rights is about is protecting our drinking water. We have 5 operating frack wells in the protected drinking water area of the Meander Reservoir. This is unsafe. The Ohio Constitution states that citizens can change the law when the law is dangerous. HB 278, indeed, Mr. Beatrice, did take away local control of zoning. The ability for communities in Ohio to zone one industry away from their homes, and that one industry is the fracking industry. Now, why do you think that happened? It happened under Tom Niehaus, who is now a fracking lobbyist. He was the president of the Ohio legislature. He was with ALEC. Kasich is also ALEC, the American Legislative Exchange Council. Lieutenant Governor Mary Taylor is also ALEC, the American Legislative Exchange Council. We are having such a dangerous time in this state, it is unbelievable. I'm sure John Houston is ALEC. Most of our state legislators are ALEC. So what is happening now is HB 278 was written by and for the fracking industry and passed at the state level. And it stated no localities can zone the chemical pits, the pipelines that explode, and the frack wells that pollute the air 24/7 and pollute the groundwater 24/7. You cannot zone that away from your homes. This is totally unacceptable. They hid the chemical makeup. HB 315 at the state level put a gag order on physicians, so you cannot tell anybody what chemicals made the person sick. May I read the results from the Cleese injection well? We're the designated dump of Ohio, plus 22 other sites. Youngstown is designated by Kasich as the dump for the Marcellus frack waste. That's why we have the DNL injection well. That's why we have downblending going on down at 240 Central Court today and every day. Downblending has been declared illegal by the Nuclear Regulatory Commission. We are having it done in Youngstown. What it is, they bring the Marcellus frack waste in liquid form and solids. They evaporate it and they mix it with dirt in open air 1,000 feet from the Youngstown City School Bus Garage. This is what the Community Bill of Rights is about, protecting ourselves. We're the only ones that can protect ourselves. Clearly, you are not representing the people, so the people have to represent themselves. Here's some of the chemicals that are in the Cleese well that have migrated through the groundwater. They had an underground pipe leak. A pipe fitter may know that you can't go way underground and find the pipe and fix it when it's leaking chemicals into the groundwater. Here's some of the chemicals. Barium, benzene, sec-butylbenzene, ethylbenzene, N-hexane, isopropylbenzene, okay, L-isopropyltoluene, N-propylbenzene, toluene, 1,2,3-trimethylbenzene, 1,3,5-trimethylbenzene, and xylene, all cause cancer in humans. Now, if you will all come on Thursday at 7 p.m., please attend and write this down, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m., Thursday evening.
Tomorrow night.
This is tomorrow night, yes, it's at the Unitarian Church. Please, we want all the electeds and all the appointeds and all the Board of Elections, the union people who funneled the money from the Koch brothers against the Community Bill of Rights. We want everybody. Butch, we want pipe fitters. We want them all. We want everybody coming down to see the facts. By Thursday, we're going to have the radioactivity report. So what T-norm is, it's technologically enhanced, naturally occurring radioactive material. See, shale is radioactive. So T-norm readings with this same analysis of the Cleese well will be released at this town hall. It's an educational town hall. We've been giving these educational town halls since 2011. We've invited every elected, every appointed, all the union heads, everybody who has anything to do with this, the pipe fitters, everybody to come and see this, because it's not about jobs. We aren't getting the jobs. There's about 55 jobs. What are they? You built the cryogenic plant so that you can make this product, the frac product, cold, so it'll run through a pipeline so it can be exported in New Orleans. So that's the pipelines. That's the pipeline infrastructure. The Sunoco Limited Liability Company pipeline that now runs under our Mill Creek Park because the park commissioners took the money. So they paved the way, Kasich paved the way with money, and he rewrote the laws for this one industry. That is why localities have to pass these community bill of rights. Then we go up against the illegal state laws. The only way laws get changed in the state of Ohio, as our Constitution, the Ohio State Constitution, declares, it's the citizens, the local citizens, change the laws, because it's just like slavery. It's just like when everybody figured out, oh, this isn't right, oh my gosh, and they had to fight from the local level to get it changed. It's not top down. It's not top down. And so this is the problem. You have to redo your vote. You got to let the citizens vote. And we got to quit funneling money from the Koch brothers against tiny local elections where people are trying to represent themselves, where they're trying to vote on their own best interests. You're from Boardman, we're from Youngstown. We don't need injection wells in here. We don't need the radioactive waste coming in here
Ms.
and being clean.
If I may, who else would like to speak this evening?
Thank you very much.
Oops, sorry.
I love you. You're awesome. You're awesome. My name is Kathleen Berry. I reside in Youngstown on McCullum Road. And I want to speak to you because I'm a retired Air Force nurse. I retired with honors, and I want to speak as a nurse. In 2012, my professional organization, the American Nurses Association, adopted a resolution asking for a moratorium against new drilling permits. And it did so because, as a scientific organization and part of the medical community, we knew that the oil and gas industry was not following what's called the precautionary principle. In other words, you use precaution before you proceed and perform activity that has potential for human harm. And we actually know that the oil and gas industry, with its current method of extracting shale, is causing harm to humans, the environment, and to animals. We know that. It is being demonstrated across the country.
In the world.
And the world. And because of that, for us, or for this board to say that we're trying to regulate that industry is so absurd. We are speaking in a so-called democracy for our own best interests to say we do not want to be harmed by activities that are potentially harmful. And I am so amazed because I've been back in the Youngstown area, and I now I just feel so important at 68 years old to speak on behalf of the kinds of activities, the kinds of that are harming us and harming our democracy. And that for people to speak as attorneys without having any interest in what is actually the outcome of these kinds of activities that are making people money. Yes, they are doing that. They seem to be beneficial for communities, but if you look across the country, they are not beneficial. If you were to go down south of Steubenville to Cadiz, to those areas down there, and see how the people are suffering, how Texans, how Oklahomans have taken over that area. Those people admitted that there is very few local employment with that. And of course, that's been an issue here, that this is going to bring employment. Is Youngstown going to continue to be a place that puts its trust in an industry that in the past has picked up on when it wasn't profitable, moved out? And this
30
is the
seconds,
same
please,
here.
Ms. Berry.
And I thank you for your time and consideration on those issues. I'm not trying to regulate, I'm trying to say I don't want water that is going to poison me and my grandchildren, my great-grandchildren. Please, let's look forward in Youngstown and not be so, not buy into our own oppression. Thank you.
Whew, good job.
Yeah, I'll do it.
Next speaker? Who's first?
He's leaving.
Like I say, good evening. My name is Reverend Youngstown. Excuse me about my attire because I just left school.
You look fine to me, sir.
And,
Could you speak up a bit?
yes, my name is Reverend Youngstown. And I just want to say that we as people, y'all spoke about the Constitution. You spoke about what the law says. The law said many things many years ago, but the law was proven to be wrong.
Amen.
And now it's high time that if we are to live right, if we are to have justice, if we are to have a healthy lifestyle, sometimes we got to look past what the Constitution says and what God says. I'm saying that because on that dollar bill, it says, in God we trust. I'm asking you, what God do you trust? Because people's lives is on the line. Just like slavery, people's lives was on the line. Just like civil rights, people's lives was on the line. And now we come to a higher level that when you put stuff in the ground and it seeps into your drinking water, when it happens, is you going to be the one to say, it was my fault, or you going to pass the buck? Time to quit passing the buck. It's time to even tell your legislatures, we need to do something about this. God bless you and God keep you.
Anyone else? I'd like to say something. Will you just hold? Somebody just hold it.
My name is Susie Beiersdorfer. I just want to say a couple things. One thing, the Monroe Falls Beck Energy was more of a zoning decision. It does not set a precedent for local communities to not allow these bills of rights on the ballot. It was also a 3-1 decision. And if anyone would care to read some of the dissenting opinions, they were very telling about who's the elephant in the room, the oil and gas industry. Another thing that is different from the county, those county charters, is the counties that were that went through the signature process and did everything, they are trying to get home rule. The city of Youngstown has home rule. And we, the people, can petition our government through this system when you have home rule by initiative, referendum, or recall.
Yes.
And ours is a charter amendment. It is an initiative. And so we feel that we tried working through the system, talking to our local reps, talking to our state reps, doing all that and basically being on a hamster wheel for about 2.5 years. So when injustice becomes law, resistance becomes duty. And this is our duty.
Absolutely.
And we are very disappointed that you're not taking your roles seriously to put the people's signatures and ballot and our movement on the November ballot. But just know that there will be a challenge.
Oh, yeah. Thank you, Susan.
Mr. Hanna.
Sure.
I'll be real short. We were here, Mr. Hollabonic and myself, at the last meeting, and the petitions that were submitted by Crickets were ruled not to have enough signatures. We then came back, he and I met with your director on Friday and went through